The news broke just after dawn. Pregnant woman arrested for murder of local police officer. In the small wheat town of Pine Ridge, Montana, 31-year-old Claire Dawson was led out of her blue farmhouse in handcuffs. Her coat barely buttoned over a belly 7 months along. Her pale face showed no emotion as cameras clicked. Officer Daniel Holt had been found dead the previous night, 1 bullet to the chest, his patrol car abandoned on Highway 14. The sheriff's department claimed they had Claire dead to rights. A gunpowder residue on her hands. A .38 revolver under her bed. A surveillance footage showing her car near the scene. For most, that was enough. But to the people who knew her, it made no sense. Claire was a piano teacher, a fundraiser pie baker, a woman without even a parking ticket to her name. Whispers started quickly. Some said Holt had been digging into a corruption case inside the department's evidence room. Stolen drugs, weapons, and cash funneled back to the streets. Others recalled that Claire's late husband, Travis Dawson, had been a police officer too, until his accidental hunting death 2 years earlier. From her cell in County Jail's Block D, Claire endured the nights in silence, hands on her unborn child. Her public defender, Eli Garner, was tired, overworked, but the moment he met her, he knew she wasn't a killer. Then came the truth. Claire finally admitted Holt had called her in panic the night he died, claiming to have information about Travis's death. She'd driven out to meet him, but when she arrived, he was already lying in the dirt, gasping his last breaths. She heard a vehicle approach, panicked, and fled. Someone else had pulled the trigger. And that someone was still wearing a badge. Trial was set for March. The snow hadn't melted, and the town was bitterly split. Half saw Claire as a pawn, half as a manipulative killer hiding behind her unborn child. Then, 2 nights before the trial's turning point, Eli got a call from Deputy Kyle Brannon. His voice was tight, scared. "Garner. Holt didn't die for nothing. He found out Travis was murdered. I've got proof." They met in an abandoned grain warehouse. Brannon handed Eli a flash drive. On it was 1 minute and 23 seconds of recovered body cam footage. Holt standing by the highway, headlights behind him, a voice off camera saying, "You should have left it alone, Danny." A shot. Holt collapsed. The shooter stepped forward just enough for the moonlight to catch a silver badge, and the face of Sheriff Warren Price. Price wasn't just the town's top lawman. He'd been Travis's partner and one of the first officers at his accidental death. In court, Eli dropped the footage like a bomb. Gasps echoed as Price was taken into custody. Within days, charges against Claire were dropped. She walked out of Block D into the cold spring air, free, at least on paper. But Pine Ridge had long memories, and men like Price didn't forgive. 6 months later, Claire was living in a farmhouse outside town with her newborn son, Eli. Price was in federal custody awaiting trial, but his shadow stretched far. Deputies loyal to him still worked the streets. One autumn night, headlights cut briefly across her window before going dark. A black pickup idled at the end of the drive. Minutes later, her phone buzzed. "You should have stayed quiet." At 1:47 a.m., the back door lock snapped. Claire's pulse roared in her ears as she took the baseball bat from the pantry. 2 figures moved through her living room, professional, deliberate. One voice whispered, "Price sends his regards." Claire slipped into the nursery, locked the door, and reached under the crib for the .38 Eli Garner had insisted she keep. The same kind they'd once accused her of using to kill Holt. The door burst open. A tall man in a ski mask stepped inside, knife flashing. Claire didn't hesitate. One deafening shot dropped him against the wall. The second man bolted into the night. Eli Garner arrived before dawn, face drawn. "Claire, you can't stay. Price still has friends here. The trial's coming. They'll make sure you never testify." By nightfall, Claire was gone, her, the baby, and a suitcase. Eli used a witness protection contact to hide her in another state. Weeks later, an unmarked envelope arrived at her safe house. Inside was a photograph of her and the baby at a Pine Ridge farmer's market, taken the summer before Holt's murder. On the back, in block letters, "We'll be seeing you." She burned the photo. Claire understood now. You don't really escape Pine Ridge. You just keep running until you decide to stop. And one day, she might have to stop.